Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline with She Writes Studios, and welcome to a thrilling edition of Light the Torch. Today, we're diving into the dark, steamy, and supernatural world of Mystique, the debut novel of the talented Kaila. Mystique follows Octavia, a strong single mother whose instant attraction to a mysterious cowboy named Chad pulls her into a passionate romance with a haunting twist. What starts as a lust at first sight quickly spirals into a heart-racing blend of love, secrets, betrayal, and even paranormal. So let's welcome Kayla as we uncover the inspiration behind Mystique and the unforgettable journey of Octavia and Chad. Hi, Kayla. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you. Your ebook for this novel is now out on Amazon, so that's very exciting.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
wonderful. Well, have you talked to your family, your friends about this?
I have. Yeah, they've been following my journey. They might be a little bored of hearing it by now. That's all I talk about. But yeah, they're following. I got lots of supporters, so it's really nice.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sure they are just as excited now that the book is already out and available. So let's maybe talk about this particular book first. What inspired you to write Mystique, and how did the story first come to you?
So this story is something that's been on my mind for probably about 7, 8 years now. And I've always wanted to be a writer or an author and write books, but I've always been so busy. I'm a single mom working full time. I've got lots of stuff on the go. So writing like a complete novel just kind of took a seat on the back burner.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
then I actually lost my job. I was um, delivering for Amazon. I okay,
Oh.
so backing up, I was working in a school for several years, but I ended up leaving that job to go work for
Hmm.
Amazon instead. And
Hmm.
I love that job. It was easy. I got lots of exercise. It was a great job, but then I was given 10 days notice that I would be losing that job. So I was like, okay, well,
Oh.
yeah, well, I did love it, but I looked at it as an opportunity. It was really bittersweet, but it was time for me to sit down and finally write this book that's been on my mind for so long. And how the story actually came about is a lot of it is kind of loosely based on or inspired by true events. So some of the things that happened did happen in real life, and then I just kind of put a twist on it. So I guess that's kind of how it started.
Wonderful. Well, that's very interesting. Now, on your book, Octavia is a single mother, just like you are, and she's doing her best for her children. How did her character develop for you? Is this based on your personal experience or somebody else that you know?
Um, so the main character, sorry, Octavia, is based mostly off of my character, but I threw in a bunch of different characteristics so that it's not kind of sorry, I am just getting over a cold
That's
as well. So um, it is mostly based off my character, but I did add other characteristics in there. And that's the same thing with all the characters in the books. They're kind of loosely based on somebody I know or multiple people that I know in one character. Like
hmm
Chad, he's the main male character and he's based off of like 2 or 3 different people. And Ben, he's based off of 2 people. So yeah.
that's nice. Well, speaking of Chad, Octavia's attraction to Chad was immediate and intense. Why did you choose to start your relationship with such powerful pull of lust and desire?
um, that is an interesting question because some people who have read the book will be like, that's not realistic. People don't fall for people like that quickly. But interestingly enough, I do fall for people that quickly, unfortunately. So that is why I based it off that because um, the particular person that I originally based Chad off of, it was a very fast moving, hot and heavy type relationship. So that is
Wonderful. Well, it just brings a lot more excitement to that particular, just at that particular initial attraction, it already sparks interest and excitement. What do you think Mystique says about how love and loss can blur our judgments, especially when someone is deeply lonely or emotionally vulnerable?
um I like to think as of the book as a whole, like kind of like a metaphor for many different things. There's a lot of different metaphors that are kind of hidden in there, but um, I did want to touch on the fact that relationships are complex, and some of them do dive right in, some don't. And they can be complex even for people who seem like they have everything all together on the outside. So I have my life together. I've got my kids, I'm a sole provider, and everything is great. But then there's relationships are complex, and that's just the bottom line. They can be.
That's true. That's true. And I think that brings that realistic side of, although this is obviously a fictional novel, but it pulls us to that um, a touch of reality that there's that reality that happens to us every day. Now, there is another part of it is an eerie shift in the story from romance into something darker and more supernatural. How did you balance the romantic and paranormal elements in this?
Um, well, it's kind of funny because when I first originally thought about this story, it was never going to be um, a fantasy type book or paranormal or supernatural, anything like that. I just wanted it to be my story. I wanted to share my story, and then hopefully I can reach other people who have shared similar experiences. But the more that I got to thinking about it, I just kept getting all these ideas that came up in my mind. So I'm like, I think that would make a really cool idea, and it wouldn't be like everybody's telling their stories these days, which is great because there's strength and vulnerability. But I wanted to do something. I wanted to just take it the extra mile.
Yeah, that's very brings that intrigue part into that story. Shad struggles with a terrifying secret. Without giving away too much, what do you hope readers take away from the metaphor of his inner darkness?
So the metaphor that surrounds Chad is probably one of my favorite ones in the book because he is portrayed to be uh, the bad guy, I guess, in the book.
Yeah,
And I guess part of it that goes along with that is he tries to be good and he wants to prove himself that he is good. He tries to prove to Octavia that he can be good. So I guess the metaphor there is that there is goodness in people, and it's not like people are inherently evil or anything. They just sometimes do things that are not good, but it doesn't make them like a bad person.
that person, right? Was it difficult to write a character like Chad's who's both seductive and dangerous? Someone may read that may when we start reading this character, Chad, it gives us that kind of a pull from different poles where you're being seduced, but you kind of know that he may not be as he may have that little danger right written in front of his forehead.
Yeah, he's the bad boy type. A lot of people do like that, the bad boy type, but I didn't find it like he's one of my favorite characters to write because he is a little more complex, I think. Um, yeah, I don't think it was difficult though. I really enjoyed it.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sure we'll enjoy reading about him more. Going back to Octavia, though, Octavia begins to doubt Chad as signs of betrayal when she started seeing the dangerous side of him. How did you approach writing her inner conflict and denial?
Um, that's more of a tricky question. um, I think because Octavia, she's not perfect by any means, and I wanted that to show in the book. She's got anxiety and flaws and
Hmm.
things like this. So I wanted to write her as like she's giving the benefit of the doubt, basically. And that's, that's a tricky question. I don't know how to answer it.
Well, maybe we can leave that, for our readers, your readers to uh, try and discover that. Do you think, though, personally, that love alone can redeem someone?
I personally don't think that love is enough. And that's what makes it so complicated because you want it to be, but in the big scheme of things, it's just not enough.
That's true. Was it, was this because that's part of this whole Octavia and Chad story? Was it difficult for you then to focus in on that, love can redeem someone when you were writing their story?
I don't think so. It wasn't that difficult because I don't want to give away too much of the story, but in the end, they'll find out whether love is enough or not. And it doesn't just end with this book; it goes on into the next books as well. So I just don't want to give away too much.
That's wonderful. Well, and that'll be another. I'll jump into a question on your next book here. But if you could say one thing to Octavia as the author who created her, what would it be?
Oh boy. uh, just run. She falls for Chad and she loves him and all this stuff, but in the end, is it really worth the heartache and the risk and everything that comes with it? Because relationships, like we said, are complicated and it's not all rainbows and butterflies. So is love enough to go through it and then come out the other end probably a changed person, maybe, but I don't know. She doubts herself at the end and she says, can't in it might be the next book where she says it, but she's like, can I just go
Oh,
back
wonder.
to where everything was normal, where it was just her and her kids?
Wonderful. Well, that's my next question. Are you working on the next novel now
I
that
am.
Mystique is out? Yes.
Yes.
When
So the
can
next
do we have yes? When can we expect it? Are you currently working on it?
well, I am just about finished the second book and I love the first book, but this one like is my favorite by far. So I'm super
Oh,
excited about it. It's just about done. I'm just finishing plotting the end of the book because I am just. It was so easy to write the first 3 quarters of the book
yes.
because it was all there and I just write it down. But then the end of the book, I'm like, I gotta make this exciting. So I've been thinking about it and I like to meditate when I'm stuck. So I'll meditate and ideas come to me and I'll put an intention out before I fall asleep. So I hope to dream about it. Sometimes things come to me in my dreams that I add into the book. So I'm just in the very final phases of plotting out the rest of the book and it's coming along and I'm super excited. But it will be released in February of 2026. So we do have a
Oh,
date set.
wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's something to look forward to. But for now, where can your readers find Mystique and how can they connect to you, with you online if they want to reach out?
Um, Probably the best place is my website because you could sign up for emails and then get updates from there. But I am most active on TikTok. I'm
Wonderful.
also on,
Would you like to share your handle so maybe people can, find you in TikTok?
Yeah, so whether it's TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, the handle is pretty much the same in all of them. It's just Kaila Nike author. I'm really on Instagram. I find it hard. But TikTok is, I love TikTok. It's so easy to engage and post. And so that's why I'm at TikTok. But yeah, Kaila Nike author is where you'll find me on either of those platforms.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations again, Kayla. And thank you for taking us behind the scenes of Mystique, a story full of heat, heart, and haunting suspense. So, for all of our listeners, the ebook of Mystique is now available on Amazon. If you love steamy romance with a paranormal edge and characters that pull you in from one page, this is your next must read. Any last few words for our listeners before we end today's Light the Torch?
I just I wrote this book not thinking like that anyone would want to read it, but there's been a few people, ARC readers, who have read it and they love it. So I love the feedback that I'm getting, and if I can just touch anybody's life, I guess, in a positive way, then it just makes it all worth it. Because I spent the last 13 months pretty much full time working on this book, so it's a huge deal, and I hope somebody gets something out of it.
I'm sure they will. Well, thank you so much, Kayla, and congratulations again. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Until next time.
Thanks so
Bye.
much. Bye.